This Czech couple claimed they were here on their honeymoon for 5 days, but Australian Border Force officers became suspicious when they noticed the excessive amount of luggage they were carrying. In a secure examination room, officers quickly located a concealment under a false bottom in the case.
It's bricks wrapped in black plastic.
As they drilled through the wrapping, it wasn't long before they had an indication of the contents.
So there's a white powder that's just come out on the drill.
A sample of the powder will be tested using a narcotics indicator kit.
That's enough.
And now officers turn their attention to the rest of the couple's luggage. A Border Force detector dog will run over the bags to give an indication if they contain any illegal substances. If the dog sits, officers know they could potentially be dealing with a huge haul of narcotics. Border Force officers in Sydney have some concerns about a Chinese passenger arriving on a tourist visa who says she is here for an 8-day holiday.
This person has submitted some documentation to support her visa application, and we're going to test some of that information in the interview today.
The passenger has provided an employment letter that the officers need to verify. But so far, their attempts to call the company, all located online, have been unsuccessful.
So what we're going to do is we're going to walk in, ask her a lot of questions about reasons for coming to Australia and test the information that we have. Tell me, why have you come to Australia today?
Traveling.
Yeah, what do you intend to do while you're here?
So today is the first day. Tomorrow I'm going to Darling Harbour and also going to see the Sydney University because I think about my son can study in there.
Okay, are you currently employed?
Yes, I'm working there.
Married?
Yes.
The woman tells Officer Alex she has a husband and 9-year-old son back home in China, and this is the first time she has ever left her home country.
So why would you travel by yourself then?
My manager gave me a short holiday.
Do you know anybody in Australia?
No.
Who booked your trip to Australia?
都是我们老板一手帮着订的，至于他想
Everything is arranged by my boss. My boss always tries to look after me. I really feel so grateful.
So did you pay for any of this trip?
我自己一分钱也不付。
I do not pay any 1 cent.
The woman says her entire reason for being here is because of her boss back in China.
How long have you been working for this company?
大约10年了吧。
About 10 years.
But so far, officers have no proof that the company even exists.
Any more questions on the
In Sydney, Border Force officers have already located a concealment of white powder which they believe is narcotics in the base of a suitcase belonging to this Czech couple. And a detector dog has sat next to their remaining 3 bags, indicating they may also contain an illicit substance. The investigation will now be stepped up.
It looks like all 4 bags will be loaded. We're just about to start.
The suitcases will be checked for possible concealments, while back in the examination room, a narcotics indicator test will determine exactly what substance they are dealing with.
That's positive. We've got cocaine.
It's confirmation that this couple are drug smugglers, but suddenly it's all too much for the female passenger. As she collapses, Border Force officers act quickly as they know it could be life-threatening.
Yes, if you're on the route, we need to get a medical response ASAP. We could be looking at an issue where the passenger not only has things in their bag, but also could have internal concealments.
How long have you been working for this company?
大约10年了吧。
About 10 years, very short.
This passenger claims she works for a company in China that sells building materials and that her boss has given her an 8-day all-expenses-paid trip to Sydney. But Border Force officers aren't entirely convinced.
So what do they do with building materials?
因为我是做人事的，我知道。
I just rather know all the building material, but not quite understand the details and not know the price of that, because I'm just doing work related to human resources.
I'd like you to provide me with some more details. I'm very intrigued because I've also worked in HR, in human resource. So the fact that you don't know what your company does, yet you assign people to roles, that surprises me. Can you give me some more detail?
因为我跟你实话说，我不太懂建筑。
Yeah, honestly, I have no knowledge about building construction. So because I got a special relation with the boss.
The woman tells Officer Alex her boss is friends with her husband, so she doesn't need to know much about her job.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to suspend the interview. We're just going to have a break.
Her responses have done little to convince officers the woman is gainfully employed back in China, but they will try and call the number provided on her employment letter once more.
So ask the person who they are and what company they represent.
If someone answers, the passenger may be off the hook.
你好。哎，你好。
At Sydney's International Mail Centre, biosecurity officers are carefully observing packages as they are put through the X-ray.
Stop it for a sec, Dave.
And Officer Steve notices an item that looks a little out of the ordinary.
What do you make of that one?
There's something in a can.
We're definitely seeing a tin with a ring pull, like a tuna tin, but it's not that.
Different types of densities there. You
do.
can see there's like the fluid there. You've actually got something in it, and
there's like 2 or 3 different things in there.
Yeah, it has some, looks like a jewellery sort of necklace with it, whether that's just to throw someone off when they're actually looking at it.
It's definitely worth a look. It doesn't look right.
No.
That's not a can of tuna.
No.
The parcel has been sent from China and is declared as accessories. But Officer Dave suspects there may be something much more sinister inside.
We have seen this thing kind of before, and this is usually a referral to Border Force. It usually contains drugs, but there's always something new, something different coming through.
And as the box is opened, officers discover an item that they have never come across before.
Oh wow, what's that?
In Sydney, Border Force officers have now confirmed that a large concealment in the base of a suitcase is narcotics.
We got coke.
And a detector dog has indicated that another 3 cases may also be loaded. But all eyes are now on the owners of the luggage as the female passenger has suddenly collapsed.
Yes, if you're in the room, we need to get the medical response ASAP.
Officers are concerned that the woman could be carrying drugs internally, and her situation may be life-threatening.
Regardless of whether they are importing drugs or not, we have to look after the passenger's health. So that's our first concern, so we will call in a response team from the ambulance service and they'll do an assessment on the passenger.
As she falls to the floor, ambulance officers arrive.
The interpreter's asked, has she taken any drugs prior to getting on the flight? And he's saying, and when I asked him, does she take drugs now, he said he's away, he's a truck driver, he's away a week at a time, so he doesn't know.
The couple's remaining 3 suitcases are taken to be x-rayed as the passenger's condition is assessed. On the x-ray image, all 3 bags appear to contain very few personal items. But closer inspection reveals that the bases all have identical concealments.
You see how much glue is on them?
Yeah.
Like, there's that much glue.
Officers now know for sure that all 4 bags contain what will total many kilos of narcotics, but they're yet to discover if there are any hidden internally. Sydney, biosecurity officers are inspecting a parcel sent from China, declared as accessories. The X-ray indicated there is a tin inside which contains organic material, and officers are wondering what it is.
Love pearl.
Oh wow, what's that? Well, there's a tin.
There's a tin. So
It was a necklace.
Yeah, so there's the necklace that was round on the X-ray.
Oh, here we go. There you go, there's a tin, the Love Pearl. It's kind of a half tin with an oyster submerged in water with a bit of an alcoholic solution.
Yeah.
We'll have to open it up because it could still be a risk. We don't know what's inside that shell.
If the oyster shell contains fresh meat and is not preserved correctly, it could pose a serious biosecurity risk.
So yeah, it's the real thing.
The shell is shut tight and has to be broken.
Real sort of fishy smell. You see there's your meat.
See all that meat?
Yeah. Oh, there's the pearl.
There you go. Some meat and a pearl inside.
It's definitely a very unusual find.
I've never seen this before.
Nothing like that before. A lot of people sort of see these sorts of things online. It's something very different from what they see down at the shops, and they click on it and they don't think of any of the potential biosecurity risks that may be associated with their purchase.
It's only been mixed with, what, 3/4 alcohol?
And the rest is water.
The rest is water.
The seal that it had on it, the way that it was, the alcohol that was in there before, that wouldn't have been enough to penetrate into the shell and then go through all of the meat to actually preserve it.
Fresh shellfish can carry any number of exotic pests and diseases.
We'll be seizing it because of the potential risks associated with the meat inside the oyster.
The potentially contaminated oyster will be disposed of.
This is a really great intercept today. It will actually mean that exotic diseases won't be introduced into our waterways.
This woman claims her boss in China has paid for her to come to Sydney for a week's holiday. But Border Force officers are having trouble verifying her story.
They have
called the company number provided on her employment letter, but the response only adds to their concerns.
This is not a company number at all.
Okay.
By asking her what's the name of the company, she said that this is not a company.
Suspecting the employment letter may be fake, the woman will be asked once again to explain what's going on.
So we called that number again, and this time the call went through, okay, and we spoke to somebody on that other line. When our officer asked about the company, they claimed that this is not a company telephone number.
那你拨错了，那中间不拨0可以吗？就是那个043。
No, it's without a zero.
The woman then tries to tell Officer Alex that they have dialed incorrectly. And that's why the person on the other end said it's not a company.
That is the number. We have called it, and they said that no one by this name or by any company operates on this number.
Strongly suspecting the woman's employment letter has been fabricated to help her enter Australia, Officer Alex takes the next step.
This is a notice of intention to consider cancellation of your visa.
This passenger has almost run out of chances.
Reason being is that I believe that this is a fraudulent document.
She has been given 10 minutes to come up with a response to the notice, and she now has a final chance to plead her case.
What is your response?
首先，公司的资料是真实的，我不清楚。
So firstly, the company is true. I'm not sure why cannot be confirmed.
我有稳定的工作，有稳定的收入。
I got a regular job, stable job, and good income. I do not have any reason to provide you false information.
Her response fails to explain why, despite several attempts, officers have been unable to verify her employment.
Your comments have been taken into account when making my decision.
And on these grounds, a final decision is made.
After weighing up all of the information available to me, I was satisfied that grounds for cancelling your visa outweighed the reasons for not cancelling your visa. As you're no longer the holder of a visa, you have been refused immigration clearance under Section 172 of the Migration Act.
Believing she is not here as a genuine tourist, the passenger's visa is cancelled.
It is a very simple and straightforward case. You provided information, we've tested that information is found to be bogus or not correct, and as a result, we're cancelling your visa. And that is just specific to one regulation. One.
Following her sudden collapse, ambulance officers are assessing if this Czech passenger is carrying narcotics internally. Meanwhile, Border Force officers have confirmed that all 4 suitcases belonging to the woman and her husband have packages of organic material concealed in the base.
Blocks in the back of the bag, but they haven't made any admissions.
The Australian Federal Police have been called after extensive testing confirmed what all the packages contain.
We've done a first offender test, an ion scan test and a NIC test. All have come back positive for cocaine.
In the room, after a thorough examination, ambulance officers have determined that the condition of the female passenger is not as serious as first thought.
She was low on oxygen, I think, because she went down into fetal position and wasn't breathing properly. They put her on oxygen. We've got her sitting up now, and the vitals appear good.
I would say that we're looking at a case where the passengers have realised they've done something wrong. So it's just an anxiety attack. We don't think that there's a concealment involved. The passenger is moving around too freely for that. So really, they've been caught. They're not happy about it. Then they're having a physical reaction to that.
The couple have still not admitted to anything, and as her husband is taken into police custody, it seems the female passenger has one more highly unusual stalling tactic.
The female passenger is being non-compliant by removing her apparel, and we've had to give her a smock.
After attempting to rip off her clothing, Australian Federal Police have sufficiently covered the woman to escort her to a nearby police station where she will be charged.